Good morning. Welcome from my garage near Augusta, Maine, where it's 4 degrees in here this morning. But I'm warm and toasty because of the miracle of electrons moving through metal and the resistance creating heat. I've got a little space heater near my feet here. So I'm good. I hope you have your coffee. It's too early this morning for my two guests, I guess. They haven't arrived. I'm not sure if they will. Doesn't matter. I've got plenty I want to talk about this morning. So thanks for stopping in your scroll and taking a minute either on archive or live to say hello. If you're watching on X or YouTube, you can comment like my friend Shane Mitchell here, who just wished me a good morning. Good morning to you, Shane. I guess you're my most loyal viewer, at least that I know about. That's the funny thing about the internet. You never know where stuff's going to go, where it's going to end up. So I'm kind of halting here because I need to check in other places to see if I'm going to be joined by a couple of guests who told me they were going to be here. So I'm just checking in places where they might be reaching out to me. And so far, nothing. So we will go ahead and begin. So good morning. My name is Michael, and I'm broadcasting from my garage located in St. Michael's Parish in the Pine Tree State's most powerful and divided city, Augusta, the political center of Maine. Every day I begin by imploring the assistance of God's archangel of war, St. Michael. So please pray with me if you can. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. St. Michael, the archangel, defend us in battle. Be our defense against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, thrust into hell Satan and the other evil spirits who prowl about the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Come back here. No, still no guests, but oh yes, here we go. I've got a guest. So good morning, Paul. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hey, good morning, Mike.
All right. So it's early. It's early in the morning. You can hear me okay?
I can, yeah.
Okay, good. I need to turn your
You got to chill in that garage?
Yeah, it's 44 degrees. So
I've already lit 2 fires.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I've got one in the.
I'm about ready to light another one.
Yeah, well, I just heard from our other guest, who I haven't named yet, and he's having trouble getting his camera working. Oh, it's here. I'm just letting him know. So good old live stuff, and I don't edit. So if you're watching on the archive, you get to see all the warts. So our guest will be with us in 2 minutes, he says just now. So Paul, thanks so much for taking time to be with us this morning, all the way from the great Maine city of Lewiston. Really appreciate your time.
Sure. And as always, shots are being fired.
Oh, yeah? In Lewiston? Oh, right.
Yeah,
I get it. Man, oh man.
Right.
All the gunplay down there. What is up with that?
Well, I don't know. If you had a red dot, I saw a map yesterday of Lewiston loaded with what appeared to be measles on a map, just a bunch of red dots everywhere, covering the entire map of Lewiston, and that's where shots have been fired. The only one, the only area of the map that wasn't covered was up where I live.
Well, they all know about you. They know,
so they know I'm going to shoot back.
Yeah, they know better than to come near 805 Sabata Street. So welcome, Tim Bodnar, the Truth Slinger. You got your camera working. Do you got your audio on?
Yeah, man. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right.
Appreciate your time, man. It's early.
It's god awful early, guys. I don't know, it's just like still nighttime, man.
Sun isn't even up.
No, I had to go out there this morning and turn the Jeep around and back it up to the generator house and put my shop vac hose on it to warm up the generator.
That's one of the things I appreciated when I first met you is I know how hard it is to be an interneter when you know that when you push power on your computer, everything's going to fire up and work because you're plugged into the wall.
Yeah, right.
And which is plugged into CMP and whatever, right? It's the grid plugged into the grid. You ain't plugged into the grid. You're in the woods.
No,
you're plugged into a generator.
Yep. And sometimes I'm plugged into my Jeep, okay, to run this show. So and I don't know what I'm going to do. Good morning. How are you, Paul?
I'm well.
Good. Good morning, Shane. Good to see you.
Yeah, do you know Shane? He's my most loyal watcher. I'm kind of glad to have him. Yeah.
Shane is a friend of the Truth Slinger Project. So.
Oh, nice. That's wonderful. Well, thank you, Shane. I mean, it's getting harder and harder. I just had a friend this morning dish you, someone I've known for years. Said he's going to keep his distance. I'm not going to give you his name, but he said he's going to give. You know who he is. He said he's going to keep his distance because you're just too mean.
Please, Mike, don't tease him like that. You know who he is. I ain't going to tell you though, but you know who he is.
Well, I'll tell you privately. I'm not going to put it on the live stream, but I'll tell you privately. Yeah, he says that you're, you know the drill, right? You use swear words. You're not a good Christian. Not a good enough Christian.
Yeah, no, I'm the boogeyman.
So Tim, I have to ask you, what do you attribute this notoriety of being off of X?
Yeah, I didn't mention that. Tell us what happened yesterday. Well,
why
don't we start? Go ahead. Where do you start? That's the thing with you, Tim. I mean, it's like, where do you start?
Where do you start? Oh God. Well, thanks for having me, first of all, because most of the internet world won't have me, apparently. They won't be seeing me now that I am nuked on X. And that is courtesy of the main wire, Steve Robinson and Matt Gagnon, right? Apparently.
Yeah, officially. I can show you the evidence. I got a text last night from Michael Hine, and he names Steve Robinson and Matthew Gagnon as being the people who got your X account nuked. I didn't know they were such good friends with Elon Musk.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I flew too close to the sun. All right. Here's what happened. Okay. In the nutshell, anybody's been following me for the last year. My life in 2025 has been an ultra hellhole shit show from the start. And it pretty much all started because I turned my attention on school boards. And I got attention of local political trolls that I underestimated. And I will tell you, that what these people do, they are very effective at doing. Never underestimate your enemy. I will tell you.
You mean like dickhead?
Yeah, dickhead. Yeah, like dickhead. Mike Hine. Okay, this guy.
Well, he's an asset. He's an asset. He's a provocateur, and he's an asset.
Yeah, and I tell you, based on my year-long stint with the guy, I mean, he's running a very sophisticated playbook, and you can make whatever you want out of that. Okay, but the psyops coming out of and I anyway, I've been trying to get into the main political space for some time now, and I did. I elbowed my way in, and I literally elbowed my way in.
My friend, you are there. You are there. You're on the stage.
Right, flying right over the target.
Yeah, well, and that's exactly what happened. Okay, and so here's what I've been doing. Right, the political scene on the right has been fractured, and I've been trying to figure out what lane I should be in. Okay, am I supposed to be fighting the left? Okay, which is this artificial construct that we have here, or like, what is my lane? What is my job as a right-wing activist provocateur, right? And polemicist. And what it's turned out is that I obviously came against school boards, and I came in an aggressive way, and so I got the attention of a lot of people. Okay?
Hey, now listen, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's my show.
Yeah.
So I'm having coffee with my pastor yesterday, who ain't even one of your people there, Mr. Bodnar. He's a Catholic priest,
Right.
and we're chatting, and I'm telling him about I'm telling him about I'm telling him about your antics, in Lincoln and whatever, and he stops me, smile cross begins to creep on into his face, and he says, "Wait a second, I think I know this guy." I said, is he the guy that put on the dress at the Augusta School Board? I said, "Yeah, Bill Balls, that's the guy."
And and here's the thing: nobody else on the conservative side would have the stones to pull off what I did. Not only that, okay, and the skill, because you and I have talked.
I think it's more the skill, Tim, rather than the balls. It's more the skill. That was very skillful what you did.
Well, in
my opinion.
I appreciate that, and I'm probably going to go back in Augusta to let them know that I checkmated them last month, okay? And they don't even know it. I mean, literally, let me explain to you what I did in there. I explained the absurdity of your position because you would not go into the bathroom with a professing female, which is obviously a man, but you subject the kids to it, right? It's on its face now. At this point, you're just merely obstinate, right? Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah, the Bella Balls thing was interesting, and even the months before, because like everybody in the world showed up to that Augusta School Board meeting, right? I remember that one, and I didn't play a big role. That was Nick. That was the stripping one, but everybody in the world was there, man. The mayor was there. The town manager was there. We had political candidates there. For the first time, we had a bunch of interest, okay, on the local school board level, which I thought was great, right? This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to get some of these people, because I figured, okay, maybe what I can do is, do I want to be in politics? No, probably not, right? Do I want to influence politicians? That's probably the best bet, right? I want to become big enough that I can influence the governor rather than be the governor, right? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to figure out how to go about doing that, right? Well, okay, that means I'm going to have to stimulate people on our side, okay? I have to fight the left, but I have to stimulate the left or the right. And the problem is that I've been trying to play nice, especially with the Candace Owens rift and the crack that we have and the divide. It's like, I would rather, I guess, try and be seen as a unifier. I mean, I had a lot of people coming to me going, well, why you come against everybody and come against this and come against that? I said, listen, you don't understand the history, right? I have been quietly feeling out the main wire now for a year. And I got one interview with Steve Robinson, and he said, you can have my reporters on anytime you want. And then all of a sudden, about the first of the year, right? I told him that Hein was a political operative, just like you said, Paul. And I said, be careful of this guy because I know he's angling for a job with you. Or at least that's what I thought at the time was going on. Okay. And the second thing I did is I questioned the funding of who funds, because I would like to know those things in the interest of transparency, so I know how to color whatever reporting I'm reading. Well, Ghost Town. All this stuff happens to me throughout the year, and I'm feeding this stuff to Steve Robinson in the background. I'm trying to. Then finally, after all this year went by, I'm getting tired. I'm beat up. I'm missing a tooth this year. I went through all the legal battles. I went through all this. I'm just tired, and I'm like, maybe I should stay. And she's tired. My wife's tired. And I'm like, maybe I should just focus on some things more locally here. My strength is podcasting. My strength is to be out there. Do that. Okay. So I came up with this idea, the weekly Maine Wrap, where I'm going to lift up the Maine Wire and I'm going to lift up Unquirer, because they do a really, really good job. And let's face it, I could probably, with the resources, I know I could do with the resources of Maine Wire 5 times the reporting they do and better. Okay. We're doing
really think so?
over here.
Tim, do you really think so?
I do, if I had the right resources, because I could do it. All right. The same amount of money. Okay. What I do over here
what he does is impressive.
It is.
But I have to defer to what you're saying here. I think if you had the resources, you probably could.
Well, and that's what it is, okay? And Michael made the observation that basically what I did was that I scared the tar out of him, okay? And I'll tell you, I've been thinking about that all night. I didn't sleep worth a flip last night. I've been 2 or 3 hours in front of the fire just staring at it. And I'm in more of a down mode now that I have this forced break. And God is wise. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Yes, he is.
And I'll tell you something. What happened was here is that I kept feeling them out. And I said, you know what? I'm going to lift these guys up. And unintentionally, I actually stumbled on this. It was only, I can only take about half the credit for this, because I said, let's just lift these guys up. They're really good at what they do, right? And why should I remake the wheel? I worked with the Amish when I did a CSA. Why should I learn everything the Amish learn? Just work with them. They're good at it, right? That's what made sense to me. So I made a rap song and included the 3 of our names together. And Steve lost his mind. Okay. Lost his mind because Mr. Straight Big Pants journalist man who cuts it straight, okay, called me a weirdo. And I'm like, whoa, where did that language come from? First of all, and my wife's like, why are you so upset about weirdo? You could be called worse things. I'm like, because weirdo encompasses it all. It's nice and vague. It's just a derogatory term that says you're not worth engaging with. You're not worth listening to. You're not important enough. You're just an insane, crazy man. And so that's when I said, oh, ad hominem attack. And I mean, I've been floating around them saying, because I know there are people that are going, man, people lift up the Maine Wire. They are like on a pedestal. Don't mess with them. And I'm like, okay, like I decided to do this. And then I inadvertently stepped on this landmine and I went, oh,
yeah. Listen,
sensitive.
Tim, I've been following the Maine Wire for a while. Probably Mike has done it as well. And I found this really uncharacteristic of them to take you out like this.
I thought so. I really thought so. And then when I said, hey, that was an ad hominem attack. Okay. And I started railing on him. And I immediately went for the throat. Okay. I said the other day, I am a cutthroat Christian, buddy. I'm an assassin. I know I figured it out. And the second I stepped on his sensitivities, I figured it out. Right.
Yeah, like I told you yesterday when we were on the phone, not only that, but one thing I've noticed about you as I've gotten to know you this year is you don't let grass grow under your feet politically. Especially on X, which is where your focus has been. Once you make a decision, friend or foe, you go for it. And you use artificial intelligence, you use songs, music, you're using all the state-of-the-art stuff that scares the living daylights out of a guy like Robinson, who looks at your content that comes out like, you told me yesterday, like between you and Jen, you're putting like up like 150 posts a day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Just, you and your wife.
Sure.
Guys like Robinson.
That's incredible.
Well, guys like Robinson look at 150 posts a day and think 10 grand or 5 grand. I mean, it's money for these guys. It's money,
Yeah.
and it's big money. And then they see you making very skillful use of AI to create imaginative songs that have a political content, and you literally spin these things out in like 2 or 3 a day if you want these songs. And he doesn't understand that stuff, I doubt. Or if he does, he assigns a paycheck to it. He assigns money, big
Right.
money.
Yeah, let me jump in here if I can.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Steve Robinson is a very talented man, and very capable, persistent, doggedly persistent. And for him to do this, that's a real red flag. He clearly sees you as having the capacity to give him real trouble.
Yeah.
That to me, that's an indication that we got to get rid of this guy. He's trouble.
Yeah.
Here's what I mean by that. It makes him vulnerable.
Oh, yeah.
You're asking the kind of questions that people ought not to ask, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
Between the lines.
Should have played nice with me, man.
Yeah, right. Sit there, just sit down there and be quiet. And that's the world he's used to. When he spoke at the Androscoggin County committee back when I was on the state committee last year, and he was very reluctant to take questions. It was almost as if the whole thing was staged. And he doesn't make that kind of eye contact with people. He doesn't make the kind of eye contact with people that you don't seem to be afraid of. So he's only got so many skills, and he obviously he sees you as being as I think intimidating. Seriously, and I really mean that. And he's surrounded with assets. You're right. He's he's got somebody's underwriting the cost of doing what he's doing, and I found this to be completely uncharacteristic of him to do what he did, but also predictable. When Mike told me this yesterday that you had been sidelined, I started to laugh and I said, "Yep, there you go." And Gagnon is he's an aggressor, and he doesn't like an opposing view at all.
Yeah, Gagnon is Robinson's boss. He runs
really.
He runs the neocon.
I mean, that's the guy that I've been copying in my list every time I blast out to people. That guy that's about 2/3 of the way down on my list, Matt Gagnon. That's who that is.
They're both gatekeepers. They're not as interested in.
I would think more Gagnon than Robinson.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you something. What happened is that I was, I'm trying not to destroy myself here in the process. This has been, I ride the edge. I have always rode the edge. Okay. I walk right up to the edge and just put my toe right over it. Right. And I'm not afraid to play quote unquote dirty. And what I mean is dirty by the cultural Christian standpoint, the nice Christian standpoint. Okay.
Right.
Like, for instance, some lady writes me and goes, "You need to take Christian pastor off your thing. And, you're fighting with me out there with Mainwire. And why are you doing this?" And I said, "Lady, he publicly sinned on me." Right. And you go to your book, and we'll go to Matthew, I think it's in chapter 15 of biblical discipline. Right. And look, if he would have privately done this, then I would have taken 2 or 3 witnesses. But you threw down on me in public. So I'm going to call you out in this public sin. That's the way I am. And I tell you, it's like I've been working how long at this, right? To wake up and have my account nuked, right? I was surprisingly less upset about it because and now that I spent a good long time starting to meditate upon it, is what you just said, Paul, is highly uncharacteristic. And you know what I mean, he doubled down too. He said, "I bought my follower."
That's why I think it's Gagnon more than any. Gagnon is caustic and doesn't like a second opinion.
Yeah.
If he doesn't have the stage to himself, he's not comfortable.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I made him real uncomfortable because I took that logo I took the main wire logo and I made a main wrap and I flipped the M and the W and I separated them and I put some colors in there and I said, it's the main wrap. And I went on and I just knew it was going to troll the living shit out of him. I just knew it. And you know why I knew it? Because I've been getting this kind of grief for the last freaking year. Do you know how many people out there are impersonating me right now? And I can't shut them down. They're writing DMs begging people to buy my books. Like an or, okay? Buy a box of my books, please. Give them away, right? And all the while I'm out here, I can't protect myself. But you know what I thought about last night, this morning, as I was staring at the fire? I win. I won this round.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't win. I won. You know why I won? Because you showed the world your colors. You dropped a nuke on me. I made you have to pull out the big gun and shoot me down in cold blood.
Well, this is the biggest issue facing the right at the moment as we approach Christmas in America. And what is that issue? Well, the issue is censorship. And
right.
Who's calling for censorship on the right? Jews are. Full stop. Oh, I said it. No, I mean, you can't argue the point. Who is arguing for censorship from the right? It's Israel and Netanyahu and this whole anti-Semitism thing that they're spinning up. You got caught up in that. You're kind of the first well-known account on social media to get caught up in this game that they're playing. But this is just the beginning of right-wing censorship. They're just beginning this.
I'm afraid you're right, Mike.
Yeah. And
I'm afraid you're right.
They're going to take out all the effective, entertaining, imaginative, bold, masculine voices that are defending family values, that are fighting pornography, that are willing to think negative thoughts about gays or Jews, or they're going to take out all of those people. The people who are willing to fall on their sword to defeat abortion, to stop abortion. They're going to get rid of all of those souls, all the ones who are creative and effective on social media. They're coming for all of us who project those attributes on social media, online, especially if we're willing to bring up in a discussion, politically or religiously, Jews, Judaism, anything that is going to throw any kind of darkness, like Nick Fuente. I mean, look what's happening globally at the moment in the West. Look what's happening. Most of the world is laughing at us over this narrative with Nick Fuentes and Hitler and blah, 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 and Candace and the Jews and Tucker and the Jews. Most of the world is looking at this and saying, what in the world? I mean, everybody knows that genocide is going on here. Women and children are being killed. What is going on in America? What is up with that?
Yeah, well, it's interesting, and this is in context of the larger worldview, right? And when we're going to touch on the Jew subject, I'm going to make right up front. I'm going to use the term the Jew mob, the Jew mobsters. Okay, just like the way there's Italian people and then there's the mob.
Right.
Okay. And so I'm going to make that clarification right up front that I'm all about willing to believe and look into, and it's never been a rabbit hole I've gone down. Okay. But the Jew mob agenda that is in control of the things that you talk about. Right. And I believe that it's been off limits to talk about. I believe that anti-Semitism is a term that was made up, just like racism.
Right. That's right.
Is a bludgeon. It's a cudgel.
Yep.
And that maybe obviously there's money and power here. Okay. I mean, they turned me off like a light switch, dude, like a light switch. I could never, I mean, I may be able to recover this account, right, on appeal. It's possible because I haven't broken. They have to, if they argued trademark, they don't have a cease and desist from me from a lawyer. They don't even have that. They don't have legal paperwork that says you violated the trademark. So I might be able to get out of this, but let me tell you something. You shot your wad way too early with me, buddy. Way 12 months
So,
is an eternity.
hey,
Not
Tim,
whatever.
do you think there's a single issue here somewhere? What pulled the trig?
I was just thinking about, when you asked the question, Paul, before you asked the question, I was thinking about that with respect to Robinson and Gagnon and the right wing of politics in Maine. And my guess in answer to that, and I want to hear your thought on that, Tim, is they've all had a chance to look into his eyes. He's been to their events, he's shaken their hands, he's looked into their eyes. They get to see him all the time on X. I mean, 150 posts a day with he and his wife, Jen. And they've looked into his eyes, and they know they ain't going to be able to control him.
Mm.
What say you, Tim? They know they're not going to be able to control you. They're not going to be able to offer you enough money. They're not going to be able to whatever to control you. You're going to speak your mind. That's it. Right?
Yep. I'll sit in the woods, broken alone with a microphone, and poke a stick in people's eye all day long, man.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care. I mean, the other day, like 2 days ago, just before I got nuked, right? I'm like, man, I start going on town, and I'm like, Heidi Sampson is the ice queen. Yo, why did you ignore my handshake? I went to the Common Sense Fair, and like she's about Title IX. I'm about Title IX. Her and Alan Serminis, I got something going on, right? They're raising money. They're having events. They're educating people, right? And I'm like, hey, I'm all about Title IX, whatever, right? Oh. I went to Lincoln, right? Well, apparently I blew the contact they were working with, right? That guy who was supposedly the only conservative on the board who slapped the phone out of my hand, who had to now resign from the board. Well, it's like I inadvertently wee-weed in your cornflakes. I didn't do it on purpose.
I love Lincoln. I love what you did in Lincoln. What a story.
Lincoln,
it's like, I don't know. It reminds me of like Aragorn. And
I want to, in a minute, I want to look at the tool that you have in your hand here. And it's a double-edged sword. The anti-Semitism is a very powerful weapon, but you've got one as well. It's called censorship.
Yeah.
And this is something that is going to dog them as long as they live. The S word, censorship.
Yep.
This is something that everybody hates, and they know it's coming. It's here.
Yeah.
But it's going to get a lot worse.
Yeah. Well, and so I took one for the team. This is the way I'm looking at this. I was the guy, right, that went out here and said, all right, I'm going to turn your tactics back against you. And I learned quickly. Okay. And so I did, and I made him pull out the big guns. And now the whole world is like, well, yeah, okay, he was a little weird, but you didn't have to go blast him off the face of the internet. What's the shit? I mean, come on. Because then people go, why?
Yeah, exactly. This is America, man. This ain't England. This is America. We got our First Amendment,
Look,
and Americans love their First Amendment.
Steve said, you stole my logo. I said, I didn't steal your shitty logo, man. I'm trolling you. I'm teabagging you, man. That's what I'm doing. I'm busting your balls, okay? And you know it, and everybody else here reading it knows it, okay? You will write an article, okay, of like 30 paragraphs, which are 2 sentences long, which drive me nuts because apparently Americans this day and age can't read more than a paragraph of 2 sentences. They have to be this big to keep people's attention. So he writes these big, long articles. But, you're right, Paul. He's on it. It's admirable work. He's dogged. The research is there. I mean, what they do is good. But
somebody has to do it. Someone has to do it.
He didn't cover Bella Balls, but he covered Nick Blanchard running for the school board.
Right.
And so he wasn't.
And there's an effort. There's a very real effort going on to split.
He doesn't need to cover you because you're getting so much exposure to begin with. That's the ointment in the eye. That's the bug in the eye.
Yeah, he can't. You can't be controlled. And now they're working to split up the Trinity, what I've called the Holy Trinity. Which
I'll
is
be right
Richard,
back. I got to get something.
Yeah, which is you and Richard and Nick.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say they, I mean our side.
Yeah. Well, and and you're right. And that's what I was trying to figure out is what the hell is my job here? I mean, I spend time with God and I go, what do you want me to do? Right. I mean, honestly, I go by faith rather than by sight. I go by instinct. When something doesn't smell right,
Yeah.
even in a vacuum, why is there a vacuum, right? And so I'll pursue things.
Yeah.
And I think that what it's really come down to is that my job is to hold the right accountable. This is what I'm made to do. And I think that's ultimately why I got nuked, is because they figured it out. And the funny part is that if they just would have waited 2 more seconds, just hold, because I really was mentally resigned to not wanting to be in conflict with everyone on the right. I mean, I have people begging me to stop.
Yeah.
Okay, Richard's going, dude, nobody wants to work with you.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to come near you. You're a risky relationship.
I'll tell you why that is. I mean, I was 20 years the leader of the Christian Civic League of Maine. The gatekeepers, right of center in politics in Maine, they're more religious than they are anything else. But there's only 2 gatekeepers. One is the Heritage Group, which Gagnon heads up, and the other is the Christian Civic League of Maine. Both of them are well-funded. The Christian Civic League of Maine today is more well-funded than it's ever been. And the other group, the Gagnon Group. So the Gagnon Group is economic. Their job is to keep us focused on taxes and economics and property rights and that kind of right-wingy stuff. And then the Civic League's job is to keep everyone focused on fighting abortion, and they dropped the whole gay fight when they got rid of me. But at the beginning and the end of the day, these 2 institutions exist to make sure we don't figure out that what we're dealing with is a revolutionary spirit that is spun up by immense wealth from the powers that ought not be, that are never talked about and that are hidden, and that these forces want us fighting over these issues. They want us fighting over the Somalis. They want us fighting over the bathrooms. They want us fighting over what's the other one? Marijuana. The Chinese. They want us fighting over the Chinese. And the reason they want us fighting over these things is because we're not going to figure out that pornography, divorce, abortion, the schools being destroyed and becoming indoctrination centers, and there being no education done anymore at any level in Maine to help Maine citizens actually become robust, capable, virtuous workers and citizens in our state. And they don't want us to see that the reason that this has happened is because of Jewish ideology and commitments with respect to economics and usury.
They showed their hand on abortion.
Yeah, and abortion. That's one of the sacraments. Sodomy. They're big into promoting that among the goy, what they call the goy, and nobody can talk about it. Nobody can talk about it at all. You can't even think about it in Maine. That's how bad it is here.
Yeah.
And it makes no sense. It makes no sense. We love our First Amendment.
But I want you to say what you said. I want you to say what you said to me yesterday about we don't hate the Jews, we love the Jews. Tell me that again. Because
I do.
That was so important.
I rented to a guy who was Jewish, and guess what he did? He spent all of his time trying to nickel and dime me to death, trying to get me to lower the rent, of course. I mean, but that's my only real direct personal experience with a Jew, with an individual Jew. But that's not my problem. He's not my problem. I'm not concerned. I love him.
But it's so stereotypical.
My problem is you can criticize in America when it comes to politics and religion every group on earth, you can sink Jesus Christ in urine and call it art and have the government pay for it, but you can't even think a negative thought about Judaism or the Jews.
Right.
You can't
Well,
even talk about
but it's because of the Judeo-Christian ethic. You see,
right.
which is they did that. They coupled those two things together, right? Because you understand the logos, you understand the way this works,
right?
Couple those two things together and go, well, yeah. What's the difference? Well,
exactly.
This one going to hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What we're talking about here is Zionism,
To this
radical Zionism.
Okay, so this whole idea that Judeo-Christians are all in one bunch, no, it's a basket, and Christians came from the Jews, and I don't necessarily believe in replacement theology. I believe that there is a place for the Jews. Romans 10 says so, right? I mean, don't be so cocky that we're wild branches that are grafted in, right? And when the fullness of the Gentiles happens, then something happens with the Jews. But not all Jews are Jews, and not all Israel is Israel, as we heard Paul talk about in Romans 8.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, actually, the replacement theology, that's an important discussion. We won't get into it this morning, but Christianity emerged from as a kind of reaction, at least in part, to what the Pharisees and Sadducees were doing, and the Zealots, all Jewish sects, separated, conflicting Jewish sects, part of their religious identity at the time of the murder of their Messiah. And then what happened after they murdered their Messiah is Christianity was spread around the Mediterranean within the synagogues. But then after the temple was destroyed, and as you move toward the end of the century, that first century, the Christians were kicked out of the synagogues. And so they had to figure out what they would do then, because the Christians felt that they were inside of the synagogue and that they were going to bring the Jews to conversion. They were going to bring the Jews to see the truth of the matter, which is that Jesus died for them as well as for the Christians. He died. He's their Messiah. So they were there they were evangelizing within the synagogue, but they got thrown out after Nero. Around the time of Nero, they got thrown out of the synagogue. So then they had to figure out what to do next. And that's over the next couple hundred years. That's how Christianity became a church. And it emerged slowly over the decades. As a result of persecution. All the first popes, the first 24 or so popes, they were all martyred.
Yeah.
If you became the leader of Christianity, you got killed. Rome killed you for the first 2 or 3 times. You said something about a Jewish guy that you knew. Let me tell you what my Jewish experience is with Orthodox Jews. I worked as one of my jobs when I was right out of I think I was in college, and I was working part-time for this guy who ran a clothing, he was a clothing distributor. He was a wholesaler. Yeah. So my job was all day to go through these boxes of jeans, and then when it says irregular stamped on the pocket, to take a black marker and mark that out, because he was selling them as firsts. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I went, wow, the stereotypes are true. All right. Now, that's all I know, but I was like, well, it's like, but the guy, he had the whole thing, it's like he's observant, right? And I think that essentially,
like we're not supposed to see it, right? Like we're not supposed to see it,
right? And so there's this surface moralism, right? And it's virtue signaling, and it's the same shit that the right is doing, right? Yeah. And then when it comes down to it, and again, let's talk about reporting again. Because Richard said something is that he tends to only want to cover any more things that include activism, as far as even if a candidate, right? If they're not being activistic, then, because that's what's necessary for today. And you called it brass knuckle politics. Okay. Yeah. And I mean, it's like, you're a master. You're a master. Go ahead. Yeah. Well, you got to get people's attention. You got to punch them in the nose. That's what Lincoln was, and it went viral on TikTok. You told me yesterday, tens of millions of views. Yeah. And why did that happen? Because you always wear the brass knuckles, whether you're in real life or you're on X, and that's what's needed. Why? Because we're men. We're not women. We're not. It's not about fellowship and going with somebody and fixing things privately. Yeah. I'm a relic. I mean, I literally feel like a relic.
No, you're the future.
Call myself one, but now I really feel like one. Okay.
Yeah, you're the future. You're the future of Christianity in Maine.
That's the last thing you'd want to do, see yourself as a relic.
Yeah.
Well,
You're really at the vanguard.
what
You mentioned replacement theology. Ted Cruz is coming down heavy on that, accusing us of replacement theology, trying to alter the doctrine and in history. And boy, is he mad. He's pissed.
Yeah, but he's so wrong because
he is wrong. Yeah.
Because Christianity thought of its self-identity from the time of Christ's murder to the mid 19th century. That's almost 2 full millennia. Christianity's self-identity globally was not Jewish; it was Christian. They thought of themselves as Christian, as the fulfillment. Jesus was the fulfillment of the
chosen people
of the Bible.
Right.
And the New Testament was something that that interprets and helps us understand fully the God, the Trinity, and etc. So, I mean, up until the mid 19th century, Christianity thought of itself as maybe somehow a little bit related to the Jews, but the Jews killed Christ. Christ is king. If they want to make it to their heaven, the heaven of the old covenant, then they're going to have to get baptized, because that's what Jesus said. They're going to have to get baptized in water, and that's what Christianity is. It's not Jewish; it's Christian.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
well, and let me tell you something. What's going on right now is that we're dealing with modern day Pharisaism.
Mm-hmm.
And what they've done is they continue to put the moral burden is to heap it more and more and more upon you, right? Like, for example, drinking.
Yeah, right.
Going and throwing back a few beers. Yeah. It's available at the gas station, cheap. Okay, it's made to give to the masses, right? And then they go, oh God, what a lowlife that guy drinks. And what they've done is, and essentially, look, I don't ever want to belong to a church that says, where's your resume? Okay, that said what all the things that you did that show you're a good character that you can belong to this church. It's like, well, where's Jesus? Where's the gospel? Where's redemption? Where's anything there, right? It's like, what
this is a critically important point, Tim, that you're making, which you have illustrated this year for all Maine people until your X account was nuked, because all the history is there. It's all public. If people want to see into your soul, they can go watch. They used to be able to go watch that video that you produced when your wife was dying in the hospital.
Yeah.
I mean, they can look into your soul and see the pain that you were wrestling with in real time, publicly, related to your sexual life 20 some years ago.
Yeah. And you know what? It's like, hey, look, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I went through a divorce and I looked under every rock. I lived the Song of Solomon. I mean, everything was vanity. I searched for everything, right? For pleasure. Mm-hmm. And it was, it's part of the thing. And then I was radically transformed by Christ, right? Well, all sins are covered, past, present, and future. But it doesn't erase what I was.
See, the reason you're in so much trouble right now is because Maine Christians, which tend to be on the right, when you're talking about the social issues, abortion, homosexuality, divorce, the disintegration of the family, they're Protestants, and they're very aware of their own sins, and they're even more aware of your sins. Mm. And they're very eager to knock the two together, to compare the two sets of sins. And what always ends up happening is, especially in politics in Maine, what always ends up happening is they find those few sins or whatever where you're worse than they are. And then their on top of the world and with God, and they've got a reason to distance themselves from you, especially when guys like Robinson, who have all this power and money and influence, call you a weirdo. So they hear this guy with power and influence, these other, they're God-fearing people. They want to know God, but they think of morality through the lens of their own sins, their own weaknesses, their own mistakes over a lifetime, and they compare that to you.
Well, they project.
And
Yeah.
and you're an easy target, Tim.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of material there, right?
And I don't hear you defending your sin. Dickhead is good at that.
Yeah.
He's always trying to make a positive ID on sin, but let he who's without sin cast the first stone. He transgresses that.
This is the same son of a bitch that's comfortable setting up a fake account and then writing people in the movement, begging them to buy my books so that I look pathetic. And he sleeps well at night.
Mm-hmm.
The book,
we don't know that for sure.
Okay. No, we don't. Okay. I'm alleging it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. No. The point is, they walk a good walk. Well, they talk a good talk, but they don't walk a good walk.
I got to say, with respect to Hein, that Tim's point about anonymous accounts, the circumstantial evidence, there's no doubt that Tim's allegation of it being Hein is real, based on circumstantial evidence.
Sure.
But that, with all this anonymity and craziness on the internet, that's the best you're going to get unless our government steps up and begins to take
satisfaction. There's nobody you can talk to at these tech companies.
Right.
You just send away.
Right. And the government's not going to help.
Nah.
Because they don't know. It's such a huge problem at the moment. It's just such a rat's nest.
Right.
The social media.
Right.
Which is another thing I want to say to you, right? Since I'm with you here, is thank you. You are in this wild, wild west world where this anonymity, all this craziness can happen, all this trolling and stuff, and you can't get to the bottom of it. It's very personal. It's very moral. It's very emotional. And I've never seen you this whole year fail to defend your instincts, fail to defend your intuition, fail to defend your identity, who Tim Bodnar is, who Tim and Jen Bodnar are. And you've done it with you've been aggressive, you've been creative, you've been imaginative, you've been forceful, you've been timely in terms of internet time, right? We're in internet time. Everybody, a lot of these people look at you and us or anybody who's an internet-y type person, and they think that you got time, right, to get into the car and get your friend and go in private and go and have a conversation and all that kind of stuff. No, this is internet-y time right now. This is like nanosecond by nanosecond.
We come home from a school board meeting. I'm up till 3 a.m. producing the shorts and the clips because they've got to be out tomorrow. Because tomorrow there's something else coming down the road, and things are moving fast. But, that's the other thing again, I just got to say that you brought up the TikTok thing. And one of the things that's kept me sane is realizing I don't even have a TikTok account.
Right.
And I got 25 million or so views on TikTok. Well, how did I do that? Well, I went behind a public microphone. That's all. Yeah. So it's live streamed already. Somebody else captured it. Somebody else did it. I don't really even need a social media account.
That's an important point for everybody's listening. You can't shut us up. Nope. That's why this censorship has become front and center as we move toward Christmas.
Yep.
And as we move toward 2026.
I think you're going to become even more popular. Okay. Your voice is going to become louder, and it's going to draw more views. You got to stick to the point. Don't let
Streisand this is what they did. They're going to Streisand affect this. I was big enough that they
Yeah, but don't let them define the debate. You define the debate.
Right.
And I've got a question. Did they take you off completely? What about your previous views and all that? Is it still up?
Oh, no, it's gone.
Everything's gone.
You go to my page and it says nothing to see here. I can't even see my own notifications anymore. I can see my own feed, but that's it. You can't interact with anybody.
This is illegal. It's unconstitutional. This is what they've done to you is unconstitutional.
Sure.
And
the more we talk about it, the better off we're going to be.
Yeah. With 30,000 views, X owes you an explanation. They owe you a detailed legal explanation defining what justifies their violation of your First Amendment. Right.
I'm retired in the woods on a fixed income, taking care of a wife. I'm a primary caretaker of a wife who's not even on disability. I don't get any money for that. She's Parkinson's. Mm-hmm. I wrote my first book in order so that I don't have to beg for income, but people might actually get some value when they donate to me. Okay. I make music all day long for free, and it's good music and all this stuff. And I just ask for a few donations to just get, sometimes we have that gap right at the end of the month. And these sons of bitches took that away from me.
Yeah, they did. That's exactly right. That's what X has done, because you built on X. You didn't build on multiple platforms.
Nope.
It's a little bit difficult to do that. My sense of that is you don't get to build on multiple platforms unless you've got enough money to hire staff. You got to have interns.
It's hard.
It's hard, right?
Populate multiple platforms and nurture them and take care of them. It's hard.
It's hard. It's expensive. I think it's expensive. I don't think you can do it effectively without money. So you focused on one platform, X. You built it up to 30,000. You didn't pay for anybody, even though you're being charged with doing that by Robinson these days, I guess. He's saying that you're a fake account. You built up a fake account, fake numbers.
Organic.
You should speak to that. So
how do you do that? How do you build up a fake account?
Well, apparently what you can do is you can go to companies that will create bots, and then the bots follow you. Okay. And so it increases your follower count. And there's more shenanigans as well. Every one of those people, we relentlessly, I take the bots out. Okay. All of them when they come in, because it doesn't mean anything to me. I don't want them. Right? They don't do me any good. They just clutter my account. I think I donated $20 to, according to Woz, right? We were at about 8 or 10,000 or 2,000 or 3,000, and I met Woz, and Woz says, I like what this guy has to say. He's a great patriot. Follow him. And this guy's got 180,000 followers. And he does a follow train, and I'd pick up a few thousand here, and then he'd do that every couple of weeks. I donated once to the guy, I think $20. He just does it because he likes to do it and lift other patriots up, especially people that have had their accounts nuked, rebuilding. And so, yeah, that's how it grew. And then, grew up to 30,000 here just recently. And, the algorithm, we noticed that the algorithm put a boot on us about 6 months ago. That growth was almost impossible, right? We hit that 30,000 mark, and we were at 29,000 forever. Yeah. We were monetized in the beginning. We were making some money off of X, but then the algorithm changed, and I don't think I've made more than like $14 on X in any given month.
That was a real sticking point for Dickhead. He had a real problem with that. He wanted to. I think that if there's one guy in the mix here that wanted to see you out of the game, it was Dickhead more than anybody else, and he expressed that to me in a very personal way repeatedly. He just never let go. He was a pit bull of trying to get you out of the mix.
Yep, grind you to dust were his words.
He's very. I don't have a very good view of him at all. I've known him for a long time, but it's a lot worse than uncharitable. It's unabridged hatred.
Yeah, I wrote about him this morning. I wrote a post at michaelheath.org, and I called him a bully and a troll because he texted me last night.
It's a lot worse than that.
Yeah, and I also hinted that maybe he's intelligent, maybe he's being paid or something to sow all of this dissent and create all this.
Pride is hurt. He's manifested that to me repeatedly. His pride is hurt that he's not at center stage.
That's when
it's envy. He's sick with envy. Dickhead is sick with envy.
Yeah,
and I know that personally because I've talked to him about it.
Well, this is when the first time I ever had a run-in with him was when I was in Pine Tree Patriots. And he wanted to take one direction and said everybody should always meet together. And I'm like, it's a big state. I'll never make it. We won't be able to get together. We need to meet virtually. And that's when we first sort of started knocking against each other. And every time I ran into the guy in the group, in the DMs, the group chat, I was always like, he's always trying to pull it off one direction or pull it off another, right? If something doesn't smell right. And that's when I finally came and I started saying, this guy's not right. There's something about him that's not right. And I started talking to Jeremy about it. And he eventually got tossed out of Pine Tree Patriots. And that's when he made it his personal.
And he's very insecure. Dickhead is very insecure. He's got a little man syndrome. That's what
But
it is.
now he's bragging to me in his text last night that he's got Gagnon and Robinson in his hip pocket.
Yeah.
And he's claiming that Gagnon and Robinson have the power to nuke a 30,000 follower account, your account. He's saying that.
And he's gloating over it.
Yeah, he's making it seem like Gagnon and Robinson are pals with Musk, which is insane.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
He inflates the amount of power he has. He also, like, for instance, if you go on Dick Kid's website or his page, which is pretty much devoted and dedicated exclusively to me. Okay, it's a shrine to the hatred of me, with an occasional post about somebody else. But I mean, if you go over there, he posted a check from Bobby Charles in 2025. Bobby Charles, and it was from the Bobby Charles campaign account. In the some amount of hundreds of dollars. Don't know how many hundred, but it was in the hundreds. And he posted that, and I would go over there and peek every once in a while, see what the hell he was doing. And he made a comment. I said, I felt like he was funded one time on one of my posts. And Dickhead said, who's going to tell him? And posted a picture of the check, as if Bobby Charles is funding him to troll me and to take me out as a political operative.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't respond to that because I thought to myself, he could have got paid for handing out flyers. Okay. Yeah. And then he, baits me into launching publicly on Bobby Charles. And I've got issues with Bobby Charles, but he doesn't need me giving him grief about shit that's not real.
Right.
Right.
And that's the way he works. That's the way they turn people against each other. Listen, when you got to pay attention to who DMs you, man, because somebody will DM you and the name is real similar, like Jim Orr instead of James Orr. And then you start talking to the guy and you realize you're not talking to the school board member after about 2 months. You've been talking to somebody else.
Right.
They're feeding you misinformation.
It's a tactic. Yeah. And you're of course alleging that it's Hein who's doing it, but it's a tactic that these guys are taught. The intelligence guy, the intelligence aid, like the FBI is in all of the states sowing dissent.
Yeah,
that's been proven.
Yeah,
they're here in Maine. The FBI is here in Maine doing this kind of stuff, using these tactics.
And then, but when I say that, people go, "Oh, you're just, you're one of those QE conspiracy theory weirdos," right? That's what they think. And it's like, but no, it's real. Just like the spiritual battle around us was real. And this is, and I think the because we're coming up on this hour here. I don't know how long you want to go, but I'm fine with it. But this is about free speech.
We can go let's go another 15 minutes. Go ahead.
This is about free speech. The reason that I got involved in the school board fights, right, and now sort of am a bit at odds with Nick Blanchard, and I don't really want to go too much into that. Right. One of the reasons I kind of wanted to pull out of to deconflict, right? But he was shut down 6, 7, 8 months in a row. Yep. And finally I said, once I got rid of this temporary restraining order junk and Gardner and all that, I finally said, I'm going to go to Augusta and I'm going to help him out. And that's when the first time I went there was I got really mad at Martha because she intimated that Nick was like a criminal because he sat in her seat and her purse was there with her personal information, like as if he was going to write.
She's the chairman. She's the chairman of the school board. Go ahead.
Chairwoman of the Augusta School Board. But anyway, I went there to defend him, and these people, I just watched them continue to clamp down with the Roberts Rules of Order, add more rules. You can't disparage, you can't do this, all while in a biased way allowing the left to criticize, address anybody any way they want, lift up things, spew hate on people. But as a conservative gets up and does it, it's like they start throwing yellow flags, right? Like on the football field.
Right.
And so that's what I went down there to do, was to break the back of that.
Which you did. You did it with Bella balls. They'll never get over that. They'll never recover from that. And Nick's been able to build on that. And anybody who's got any kind of brain cells between his ears is going to be able to build on Bella balls. It was brilliant. It's a brilliant piece of political activist drama. Brilliant.
Yeah, if people will keep the event alive and reference it and say, "Hey, you wouldn't go into the bathroom with him, right? Her, Z's, or whatever you want." Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, and to tell you the truth, I looked at the year in you saw the post where I looked at the year in retrospect, and I said, you know what, I wouldn't change anything the way I did anything in 2025. To have a different outcome of where I'm at right now. I'm very pleased at what happened. It was a painful process, a difficult year, but I did what I intended to do, which was influence the field, make it different.
Well, and also one of the things you wrote about quite a bit is the fact that when you set out with the Truth Slinger Project, the principle that you wanted to live by was you were going to live big, live large on the X stage. You were going to be honest. You were going to be you in the moment, speaking out from your soul. Tim Bodnar.
And it went way deeper than I ever anticipated that it would go, because I had to deal
because of Hein, right? Hein surfaced all this crap from your past and did it in a really effective way in terms of politics and the internet and how the internet works. And he forced you, he drove you deep into your soul. That's what I saw as I watched you.
And he's very good at it. And that's what he specializes in, is character assassination.
Yeah.
Where he builds himself up.
But you responded honestly, and where he's been able, where he makes his, gets his traction with the moralists, the Christians, right of center, is, like I said before, they look at your sin, your the way you live your life, and the way the words you use, right, swearing, whatever, and that's not good. You're not good. You're not as good as they are, or they'll bring up a verse where they can say, well, swearing's not Christ-like. It's not the right thing to do.
But then at the same time, like, if I say something slightly off to someone in a DM, I'll lay awake in prayer or in agony half the night going, did I say the wrong thing? And it wasn't a swear word. Mm-hmm. Okay, because I'm focused on, like, Jesus talked about the whitewashed bowls, right? The tombs, or the whitewashed tombs, and that essentially it's like, you need to focus on the spirit of what the law is, right? I call it that we're rearranging the silverware in the silverware drawer while the house is on fire. Right? I mean, basically.
Right. Exactly. And I see you as a creature of X. X, it has been in the on. Everybody knows that X is where the guys are, and Facebook's where the gals are for the most part. If you do the research. Mm-hmm. And so, X allows us to do hot takes, right? It started with 144 characters, and what's his name, who spun it up, Dorsey, wanted it to be open and stuff, but then had to go to advertising, and then it became kind of the haunt. X became the haunt for guys who just want to be aggressive and bold around the water cooler when they're with the guys that they sort of trust, right? So it culturally it became this place where swearing, it kind of helped you to swear, kind of helps you, because it's the haunt for the guys who are being guys. And I feel like you developed over years using X that sort of cultural sensibility, and you weaponized it. Actually, you weaponized it while writing a book about Christianity, while reading your Bible, while boldly defending Christianity. In some ways, you remind me of Nick Fuentes. He's 27 years old, and he's like a creature of the live streaming culture, more of the live streaming culture than the X culture, and you're a creature of the X culture, and we've got to save the X culture. This censorship of you, this banning of your account, has got to be reversed. Yeah. It's got to be. This is ridiculous. This is insane. Well, this is America. This ain't this ain't Britain, where you rally 11 cops and break into
guys, do any of you know of others that have been banned?
Maudsley just got thrown off X.
Okay, Father Maudsley did, yeah.
But there's lots of them, right, Tim? I don't know if you can name any right off the top of your head, but there are lots of people who, when it was transitioning from Dorsey to Musk, guys like E. Michael Jones got thrown off. Nick was thrown off. Trump was thrown off.
There are people, okay, that were in my orbit that just aren't there anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of times you don't hear about it.
And right. And that's, there's a lot of people that just quietly went away. Okay.
Look at my account. I've posted a bunch of stuff. It's provocative. It fits the culture of X to some extent, and I'm totally throttled. Totally, nobody sees my stuff.
No, it was like I said 8 or 9 months ago. Something changed. There's still rats in the cellar over there, right? And Elon Musk isn't there enough to really do anything about it. And yeah, I mean, the content, we did somebody posted something up from Chat GPT about why, you're throttled on X, and it went over a list of things. And if you're talking about politics, man, just a conservative politics,
religion, if you bring up the Jews, they throttle you. They said they would. When Musk bought the place, he said, look, you have free speech, but you don't have freedom of reach. That's it. In order to keep our advertisers happy, we got to make sure that only certain people see.
You couldn't read this post. I got a post from Dickhead. I didn't see this yesterday, but it reaffirms what Mike was saying about Robinson and Gagnon got Bodnar's X account suspended today. Long time coming for that guy. Well, the only shakeup here is that he's giving them credit. He usually takes credit for it,
Well, that text ought to really concern Robinson and Gagnon.
Yes,
it should concern them because Hein.
That's why I wanted to bring it up. Other people are gonna, Mike. I think contrary to your assessment about what you run on X, I think people are going to see this. It's a way of getting Tim's cause out, getting his case out and getting people to realize the double standard here.
Yeah, Tim's like me. I never have taken the likes and the analytics seriously because I know they're manipulated and they're bought off and all that kind of stuff. And so I don't concern myself with that. This is going to go on the internet. It's on X right now. It's on YouTube, and it's also going to be at michaelheath.tv where it can't be censored. It can't be blocked. It's in the wild there, and it's the archive that for a couple days anyway, maybe a week. It's the archive.
You want to post that up on social media?
Yeah, it's the archive that matters.
Yeah.
Did you hear?
Yeah, it is, because if you think about it, nobody can see anything I did previously. It's not like it's, and here's the other thing too. It's like, why didn't you just go, all right, well, you can't post anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
But everything I've ever done, which bunches of it didn't violate the policies, right? They didn't nuke one post or whatever. No, they just kill you.
They nuke your income. Like if you right? A lot of people build to survive on social media. They build these accounts over time.
That's the whole point of it, Mike.
That's
the whole point of the censorship.
Well,
Yeah.
well, you know, and that's and well, here's the thing: I've never able to successfully monetize jack. Okay, monetization comes. You got to
Well,
be
perception's reality,
boy.
Tim. Perception's reality. And people have a perception that you do, particularly guys like Dickhead.
I don't make like man. I think that we average I did the average donation over the last 2 years, $50 maybe, like a month. Okay, I mean there was just a couple of times it's like things are hard, and I'm like things are hard. Like when Mama was in the hospital, right? I'm like, man, I'm eating junk food and stuff because I can't cook, and then I'm on the way to the hospital here or that, but you know. And people sent some money in because they loved on us, right? And and because we live authentically, and they thought what we were doing was valuable. And that's the thing is, you know, I've always the Truth Slinger Project was intended to live my life out online, right? And that was supposed to be something that was a Christo-political statement that shows others and encourages others and men to stand up, right? The problem with it is I talked about a lot of stuff in my life. I talked about the names of my dogs and the fact that I have a tractor and that I do this and I do that. And I exposed myself, right?
Right. And Hein was able to get all that.
Oh my God.
And spin up your daughter earlier this year, get you into court and mess up that whole Gardner School Board thing.
Right. And now Maine is supposed to totally believe because of Dickhead that I am a violent person that has a restraining order against his daughter.
And it's important that Maine people understand, Tim.
It was a tweet.
It was done, and it was done to you strategically by a bad actor. And he was able to get to all that stuff because you did live boldly and publicly. You did talk about all these little. You gave all these data points.
And
right?
I said I'm sad that I have a grandchild out there that because of politics I'll never get to see because of cultural Marxism. Right?
That was 1 year ago.
I'm gonna check out here. I've got to get back to some other things. But Tim, it's been great talking with you.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap up. We're gonna wrap up anyway. So let's end with a prayer. How about the Lord's Prayer? In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Let us not fall into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Paul, for being on.
Dominus vobiscum belli celit Dominus. Very Catholic.
Et nomine Patri et Filii et Spiritus Sancti.